Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday. March 25th. What the hell's going on with this year? Going by too fast. You know why? Because I'm here drawing. Every day, I'm just sitting here, scribbling away. Right now, I am working on Spawn Kills Every Spawn, and I can't share that. I can't share that with you. Because if I did, you're giving away the goods, right? Can't do that. But while I'm working on this back here, I'm going to be sharing you a little speed drawing and coloring of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cover I did for Megavisions magazine issue 3 last year. So let's go ahead and turn on Little Rob. Let's turn on Little Rob. Where's Little Rob? Where are you, buddy? There you are, bud. There you are, good buddy. And then let's turn on the old, where is it? Is it this one? There it is. There it is. So I'm drawing this all in Photoshop, folks. Nothing special. It's not even the newest one. It's an old copy I bought. But what I would say, what I need to say is I didn't record the entire process on this. I only streamed 3 or 4 or 5 times during the drawing and the coloring. So this is going to be parts of it you're going to see me drawing, and then parts of it you're going to see me inking, and parts of it you're going to see me coloring. It's going to go on for about a couple hours. So, you know, you're going to get a dabble of everything here. This right here is me drawing over my color roughy. I just do that little color roughy back there, get all the composition set up, and then I go in here and draw the lines. That's what you're seeing me do there. And if you're like, Rob, I really like those brushes, where can I get them? You can get them at shopsketchcraft.com. Check that out, folks. Shopsketchcraft.com, where I put everything. So you get prints of this too. It's an amazing place, you know. Folks, the fun's my coffee habit. Can you blame me? And already we got Timmy kneeling up in the old chatters from YouTube. So I'm going to get to work. This is sped up 400%. I can't draw this fast, but that's the way it works. Okay. I'm doing a little bit of character proportion design myself here on this piece. But yes, I do draw in Photoshop. I'm working in Photoshop, man, since first picked it up in 1995. Bought my first copy in 1999. I've been using it ever since. So tried them all, but just really comfortable, you know. And quite frankly, my process is kind of old school, so it doesn't really require ton of tricks and stuff. The only thing I do is I use a plugin called Lazy Nizumi Pro for smoothing out, but I'm constantly switching. So when I sketch, I have it like set to like 10%, and then when I'm inking, I'll go up to 24, just to kind of smooth out anything. That's it. Position smoothing. That's what it is. So I turn it down while I'm sketching, and I turn it up when I'm inking. That's it. That's the only other thing. This is me drawing Raphael. I went with my own designs on this one, you know. I actually would draw the turtles. You know, I figured there's like 2 ways to draw them, you know, something more animated and something more like the Mirage comics. So in this case, I was going more animated. I gave him a little bit of Eonin Vasquez Invader Zim face just to show that he's, you know, Raph's got issues. He's got issues. I gave him the Shredder Claw. And then the sai. He's putting the sai up in his hand right there. He punch you with the back end of that thing. As always, if there's anything you want to talk about, if you have any questions or comments, just leave them in the chat below. If you're watching this in the future, leave them in the comments. I read all the comments, and I answer all the comments. That's how it works, and that's how the algos share the channel. I don't feel like you can't ask, Rob, blah, 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 you know? I'll answer. Hey, what's up, Nick? Well, we got a little Star Wars reunion. You know what it is? We haven't done a Star Wars podcast in like a week, so everyone's like, where's my Star Wars? It's coming in June. Plenty of Star Wars in June. Try to make use of their feet too. I think their feet are used enough. Their big toes. Also, I tend to erase with an 82% brush, so whenever I erase, it's like a kneaded eraser, just leaves some of the lines behind. You got a guide still. No. And it's horizontal. I always did it too. You ever get like a sign? You ever put it between your knuckles, like I don't know. When I was a kid, my buddy got one of those things, and I was like, it's so heavy. It was right after the first Turtles movie came out. I was like, it works better the other way around. The other way, like, I don't know what to do with this. Hey, what's up, Bitterfrost? This was an idea I had a long time ago, like in high school. But I always wanted to see a version of Splinter where he never grew in size, he just grew in brain. Right? So, he ended up like reconfiguring the mousers, right? So you have a mouser. You know, you gotta like, even like make him form into a little mouser mech, you know? Tried my hardest to make those things look like they were razor sharp. I'm drawing pizza. Yeah, I wanted this idea that, I don't know, I thought it'd be funny if they were actually had their own pizza delivery. Mirage Pizza, right? Because like it's a shadow, the shadow front, right? It's a front for their ninja work. So they're actually pizza delivery, and then they're leaping out the van, and then the pizza, you know, gets spit around with Donatello's bow staff. That's the story I'm telling here. That's the one I made up in my head. That's how I came with the. Not just drawing poses. Like I try to come up with the story. You know, when they leave me to do everything, that's what I try to do. You know. When they're like, do whatever, I try to come up with a little story. Oh yeah, and then I made the street sign Eastman on the corner of Eastman and Lair. Ha. Hey, what's up, Kuya? We drawing turtles' feet, right? That's what I'm doing? Drawing turtles' feet. All of my brushes are up on my store, Kuya. You know, if you want to support Rob, they're only $10. You know what I mean? Like the drawing brushes and stuff. That's all my brushes. So it's more like a way to tip me. You know what I mean? I normally don't. I've never charged for brushes. I normally give them away, but I'm like, well, you know, maybe if it's like a tip, right? Because a lot of these brushes I've customized the living crap out of. So they're not like I picked up someone else's. Like I've tweaked them so much, I don't know where they start and stop anymore. So yeah, it's just shopsketchcraft.com. It says right there on the screen, shopsketchcraft.com. And these would be under the inking brushes and stuff. So there's an inking brush. Diamond Scritchy. I use Diamond Scritchy and Old Nib. That's what it's called? Old Nib? Let me check. Old Nib and Diamond Scritchy. That's the inking brushes, yeah. I do most of my work with those too. Yeah, if you ever have any questions about them too, just feel free to ask. I can always explain, you know. Right, yeah, that would be the drawing brushes, yeah, that you see here. We've got the coloring brushes are for color, and then this is all the drawing stuff right here. Yeah. darn, I did this wrong, didn't I? The old broken line technique. I spent the last year really working on my digital drawing and inking brushes and stuff, like because of the comic. So I'd say I'm about 300% better at it than I was even a year ago. I really wanted hard edge lines so I could like trap lines and stuff, you know? I didn't want semi-transparent lines. I mean, I can do that anyway, semi-transparent lines. That's how I draw, but and it's usually how you do concept art, you know, or like rough art that you then lasso tool into shapes. But I wanted hard edge, you know, Bill Watterson style. When it's printed, you know, the hard threshold lines. Which is kind of like a lost art amongst digital artists these days. Like everything's sort of soft or dry brush, you know, for whatever reason. I gave him short katana blades this time. shorter katana blades. I don't know why, I just thought it'd be cooler shorter. But a little stubby. Kind of gave him the wraps on the angles. Don't always do that. Now I did. Always love the big, thick oven mitt fingers. I actually don't do it this way anymore. This is funny to watch. So here, like, I did those roughy lines, and then I go back over with the inking brushes and draw it again. I actually don't do any of this way anymore. What I do now is I draw the roughy lines with my diamond brush, and then I set up some adjustment layers. Black and white, posterized set to 3 or 4, and a threshold. And then that clamps all of those lines down into hard lines. And then on top of that, I create a new layer, and then I go and use my inking brushes to create extra texture, or thick and thin, or that textured outline and all the other little details and stuff. So this way I'm not drawing it, you know, not doing it twice. But I didn't figure that out until the 3rd issue of Spawn Kills Every Spawn. But you could just ink your rough lines with it. I mean, they work. I just found that this is a simpler way for me. And again, just for time, there's no reason. And I also found that when I was moving fast to get the second lines done, sometimes I was creating shapes I didn't intend to create. I don't know how to describe it. Like when you're drawing fast, you can start to parody lines. So every now and then I have to draw something twice, and it's usually like small things, like tiny things. But for the most part, I don't. Come on, where is my reference? What's that? What? It's always something, Kuya. Hey, do me a favor, Kuya. Just send me a tip and I'll send you the brushes through Discord. How about that? All right. I'll see what's going on with that later. I'll contact my vendor for that. All right. Apologize. I've had people internationally buy things. It hasn't been an issue, but I will speak to my vendor about that. Apologies. There's always some, isn't it? Always something. Jimmy says the Acolyte's getting a lot of stick for a teaser. Hey, well, people want to see lightsabers and stuff, right? And then when they get them, they go, it's the greatest ever. And then 3 months later, it wasn't so great. That's, whatever. Told you, yeah, it's going to be digitally sent to you. So I don't know. But I'll look into it. Apologies. Let me see. It should be on. One second. Okay, I just double checked it was off. I just turned it on. I don't know why it was off. I don't know. Should be on now. It's the new store. Everything, Koya. eBay. If Etsy just didn't get all psycho, I wouldn't have to do all this. Yeah, there, it's connected. Good times. Hey, thank you for helping me test runs. Yeah. Beta test, Jakuya. Helping Rob out at the store. Yeah, my only thing with the Star Wars stuff, dude, it holds true with most Disney Plus shows, is just, I don't believe in the 6 to 8 episode format. Not just on Disney Plus. On like I just watched House of Ninjas on Netflix, and I really loved House of Ninjas. It was like kind of what I want from a ninja show from the MCU. It's not as violent as, say, Daredevil, but it had real violence, like people, and it had the mystical, fun comic booky nature of it, and comedy and everything else, and good characters, great stunts. But it's like you get to that 8th episode, it's like this needed 2, 3, maybe 4 episodes more, at least 12 episodes, maybe 10. So it's like it was like, like whatever they do, it's just like, wow, 30 minutes, 8 episodes. It just feels like you're trying to make a movie without making a movie, and we just expect, I think, really good character work from TV shows now, not movie level character work from TV shows. So it's not just exclusive to Star Wars or Marvel, but it's just like that format. Some bean counter did some math on that, and I was like, well, if it's not profitable to do any, then just do one show. Do one show. One Star Wars show on Disney Plus, one Marvel show on Disney Plus, and just call it, whatever, the Dark Times, or call it, the High Republic, or call it something vague that covers the era you want to do. And then when that's run its course, do another new show. But doing like several shows all the time that are basically like slightly elongated movies without the right pacing or character, it don't feel right. It don't feel right. And sometimes you get lucky with Andor or WandaVision, but for the most part, dude, it just hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. So it's better with animation because you can take stronger narrative leaps with animation. Like the amount of work that goes into the amount of character work in X-Men 97, it's great. If that were live action, it would feel weird. But because it's animation, you can, there's a level of audience participation in interpreting what you're seeing. So you don't mind it. But when it's live action, you expect a different kind of pace. So I always have a hard time with these smears. Like I know like guys do it with like a brush work, like Danny Warren Johnson. I always have trouble. My mind isn't built for it. So I have to like actually draw these things smearing. I do a little bit of it here and there. You can see like in the bow staff, but I spent a long time on that. Like a little too much time for what it was. Oh yay, it worked. Awesome, Kuya. Thank you so much. Make sure you import those as tool presets, by the way. I said that in the description, but that way they'll stay organized. Otherwise it'll just be a giant. You put them in as actual brushes and they'll put them in the order of the brush, not the order in which I listed them in the tool presets. So like, if you want my opinion, I think if they're gonna do something like a Disney Plus, I just think it should be, a repository for things already made for the film screen or for others. Like if they want to do an animated series, cartoons and stuff, great. But when it comes to live action, I just don't think they have it in them to make HBO. Like look at the Penguin. Look at the Penguin trailer. They're not doing that. They're not going to be doing that. No, I don't know if that show will be good, but it has that cinematic TV feel, right? That you get from like Game of Thrones. Disney, they're not making Stranger Things, dude. They're not pulling that off. 2.5 hour long episodes, They're just not. So that's the case, sign a deal with Netflix and, Have them finance it and put it on there exclusive for a year. Then it goes to Disney Plus as a repository, or as a, you know what I mean, as a library. There you go. Almost said suppository. That's hilarious. Or hire real TV people, you know, and focus. Because I'm all for new characters. I could care less if they're characters we know, you know. I'm all about it. What I'm not up for is Hallmark movie level storytelling with these kinds of characters. Like, I'm just not. I'm not here for that. I'll go watch a great anime and get, you know, I could watch. Even Konosuba has far more character development than anything that's going on right now in live action Disney Plus shows. So, and it shouldn't be that way, but it is. I'm super interested in why they took out the Nemodian shot from that trailer, though. You know, it was actually a really good shot in the Star Wars Celebration trailer for Acolyte. There was a really great Nemodian shot. The lighting and the quality of textures on the puppets looked really good. Not like the Phantom Menace. Like, it looked really good. And I'm like, why did you... Because I think bringing a level of sophistication to the puppetry of the prequel stuff, era stuff, would be a good thing to show off, you know? Because the physical puppetry stuff in the Phantom Menace was not good. I'm a puppets guy. Like me some puppets. I mean, the original Yoda. Do I need to say the Phantom Menace Yoda, the original puppet? Come on, guys. That was not. I didn't even look like Yoda. I don't know what the hell that was. And it wasn't because, well, he's a puppet, can't make him look good anymore. No, that's not it, you know? George went with, stand by. George went with a lesser quality studio. Should have gone with the Jim Henson studio, you know? But I promise you, Tim, when we watch that show, if that's a great show, you're going to see me go, that's a great show. I hold no agenda. You know, Star Wars is something that I love dearly. It's still my favorite, you know, universe, cinematic universe. You know, but it's also the thing that I've come to like I've liked the least amount. So it's like, all right, guys, you know, I don't want it to be bloody and I'm not saying that bloody and violent and all sex and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it should feel like a universe that's real in which fantastic things happen. The Harry Potter movies have more credibility, verisimilitude to them than Star Wars films. And it should not be that way, you know, as far as I'm concerned. But that's the world we live in. And you ain't gonna see me getting all mad and angry about it. It's just like, all right, like, whatever. What are you gonna do? You know, what are you gonna do? But even if it's Star Wars I don't like, I always love the making of. Always love how it was made. That's why I really breaks my heart that Cinefex magazine, you know, bit the dust during COVID, you know? Because even their Mando coverage on that first season was better than anything that's been on the Disney Plus Gallery episodes. We have ever worked on Star Wars IP before? Just the licensed apparel. I did licensed t-shirts from 2011 to 2014, about 3 years. But the comics, no. The movies or TV shows, no. The Hulk and Wolverine saucies I streamed, those were bought by Bruce Powell, who was the lighting, you know, director for the prequels and all the Transformers movies at ILM. So, you know, I have had fans, but I don't do anything that warrants them picking me up. I got offered once in 2005. Was at the 5 or 6 at the that's me showing people how to draw perspective and blob it in, by the way. Sometimes when I'm working on things, I give them lessons. I'm like, here's how you can blob something in. There's a quick lesson on how to draw silhouettes. But I was at Wizard World in 2006, and I had done some fan art of the Clone Wars stuff, but I did it in my own style. And the editors at Dark Horse were like, hey, could you draw like in the actual Clone Wars cartoon style at the time? I was like, I can. And then I was like, but I won't, ha! Like, I don't know. Like, I just didn't want to do it. Now I'm like, you know, I probably should have took that gig, you know? Like, I really liked the 2D Clone Wars cartoon, but I was mad at Star Wars at the time, so I was like, you're not. No, I don't think I could work on concept. You gotta have a lot of 3D modeling to do concept art for movies. You gotta be able to like block model and sculpt and all sorts. It's not the same. There's a reason modern films don't have the same iconic ship design as the old stuff. It's because they're not really designed the same way anymore. At most, you get silhouette brushes or 3D models. It's kind of, I don't know. Do I know how to use 3D? I did a lot of it in college, like Maya and stuff like that, but it gives me carpal tunnel. It gives me headaches. Button clicking and dragging things out. Like I've tried ZBrush and stuff, you know, and I mean, I tend to draw like a sculptor, but then I'm not drawing. So what happens is, you know, is now I'm going to be spending my time modeling and not drawing. And I refuse to lose my ability to draw. It's quite literally saved my hide more than a few times in my life, you know, to just sit down and draw, you know? And it's like, plus I really feel at some point, you know, these programs will just be able to take your art and give you 3D models, you know, based off it. So it's like, I will lean into how I draw more than, I mean, I do love watching cats do stylized sculpting, you know. And if there was a more intuitive way to do it, I would. But every one of them just requires, you know, a lot of like button clicking and troubleshooting. And if I ever have to delete freeze transformations and delete history ever again, I'll throw myself off a balcony. I'll tell you what, I missed an opportunity when I was in college. I graduated in 2005 from the Art Institute in San Diego, and I hated that school. But I really did enjoy. I had to teach myself how to use Maya because they did such a piss poor job. And luckily, digital tutors at that time had come up with those DVDs, like how to do a pod racer, and that little project taught me how to use Maya better than anyone else knew how to in the whole damn school, minus maybe some of the instructors. The instructors weren't teaching us anything. So when it came to doing a project, I ended up recreating that whole village outside of Stormwind and vanilla Warcraft. You know, when you're in Stormwind and World of Warcraft, you walk straight out, there's a village. Like I figured out how to rebuild it, and that's where I realized they were only building half the models, you know, and instancing the other half. Like that was never even explained to me. So I was really enjoying doing low poly, and my instructors were just like, there's no play, all that's dead, you got to do like high-end stuff. And I was like, I do like this low poly thing, and I should have probably stuck with that. But I got into t-shirts because at least there I was applying graphic design and illustration. And being able to draw my own fonts and typography and lay things out, you know, has helped me out more. But yeah, I don't have production friendly skills. This is a problem. If you want to work in like games and stuff, you got to have production friendly skills, not just design skills. And at some point, Kuya says you can help me with Blender sometime. Yeah, who's that guy? I just saw, because I liked it and told him it was dope. There's a guy who just did a Gnomon thing with Blender where it's like a stylized, like crab looking dude. That stuff looked dope. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't, you know, if I could pull that off like with my own art, that would be great, you know? I wouldn't mind learning if I could use my... Can you use your Cintiq pen now and stuff? Because it comes down to mouse clicking. You know, I get carpal tunnel. Try never to use my mouse. I mean, I still have to like, you know, menus or like around Photoshop, Windows, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you ever got some free time, I wouldn't mind learning, but he says you prefer mouse review. There's a mouse some or can people recommend. I ordered it. It's good. Oh, all right. Well, maybe there is a mouse. Is it like a vertical? Maybe it is. I'm a right-hander. Well, you lefties got the superpowers. Us right-handers got to really work for it. This is one of the first times I was really drawing buildings in this way. I'd never inked any buildings digitally like this. It seems simple, but it kind of isn't. Like I do this more intuitively on paper. So I got it all figured out now. Yeah, I don't have to do any of this twice now. I just do it once. Oh yeah, the Logitech vertical wireless. Well, okay. I have the vertical right here. It's not that one. MX vertical wireless. I have a cheaper one. But okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. By the way, I love drawing and inking pizza crust. Super fun. I've been told my drawing style is similar to sculpting. I remember when my last 6 months in college, I had this teacher, this professor who was like, or instructor, whatever you want to call him, was like, you really should think about sculpting. And I was like, I'll think about that. Like I did something, but I tend to use the subtractive method. Like I don't do armatures, like I pull away, you know? So 3D might make more sense than actual clay. So I'll be honest, Kuya. I mean, I'm real nervous that, you know, 3D modeling just gets overtaken with AI, but I wouldn't mind learning. Sculpting in Blender is super easy. I think given the amount of like, you know, everything I do, I draw in 3D. Like I set up the volume, I grid everything out. So once I started using 3D programs, I was able to like articulate drawing three-dimensionally better. Well, I appreciate it, Kuya. Yeah. Let me know when you get some free time. I'm definitely up for learning. Is that a custom brush you're using? Yeah, it's a custom brush. A lot of these brushes I got from various places, and then I customize the heck out of them, give them different shapes, change the spacing, blah 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 blah. In my brushes will start its Mickey medium. I went and got a bunch of old Spawn comics, Danny Miki art, like high res inks, and then I went and I kept using the brushes and adjusting them until I could ink, like put those little blobs and dots and stuff down that like Danny Miki used to do without me having to do a lot of work. Yeah, whenever, Kuya, no stress. And congratulations on the Street Fighter gig. But I have the brushes up on my store. Will start. shopsketchcraft.com. They're up in there. Again, I use these in conjunction with Lazy Nozumi Pro. So when I'm inking, I have position smoothing set to 24. And when I'm drawing, I set it down to 12 to between 12 and 16. It's just whatever my brain is connecting with that day. There's no rhyme or reason for it. It's like all mental. Will Star says, sweet, I'll check them out. I just stumbled on this through Facebook that led me here. Oh, dude, super awesome. I'm here every day. Now. Yeah, Lazy Nozumi is great. So I just use basic position smoothing. And then I just adjust, 12 to 24. But anytime I adjust my brushes or work on them, like I always use it against like artwork that I, you know, will Bill Watterson, McFarlane, or anything that from stuff that I grew up with, you know. Now, this is the shame of it. Yeah, I was trying to get away with sketchy buildings and I couldn't get away with that. I had to go and redraw them and clean them up and drop them in. I did not record the background painting. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was always fun on Crash whenever the 3D models would actually like translate the drawings into characters, you know? Like I do love seeing stylized modeling. Like I'm a stylized modeling guy. But yeah, I put these brushes, again, all the issues of spawn kills every spawn were used. These brushes were used, you know, every page. I'm using them right now as I speak. So like, they work. They are battle tested. And you got the most recent versions, by the way. I didn't give you the old stuff, you know. I hate when people go, I got these brushes up, and then you open them up and you're like, these don't look like the ones you're actually using. There's some guys I really respect have done that. And I'm like, come on, guys, you know? If you don't want to share them, then don't offer them, you know? Right? It does happen, right? You can see all these things and you open them up and you're like, where's that brush? What do you... He snookered me. As if the brush is giving them the magical powers to do all this anyway, you know? Like, hey, here's the pencil I used too. See if it bestows upon you the talent. I wish it would. Like, you know, it'd be great to not have to actually do any of this effort, but that's what led us to AI. So, you know, maybe the effort, it's the journey, not the destination. They tell you that, but then, you know, when you're on a deadline, you're like, you know, that destination needs to get here sooner than later. You know, I hear you, but like right now, I'm putting the kind of line work into this book that they used to put like in the cliffhanger books back in the 90s. And, you know, there are times I'm like, why did I do this to myself? You know, no one asked me to. I'm not getting paid more for it, but I'm like, just gotta do it. You know, wouldn't respect myself otherwise. Whole industry's getting enough of the fast stuff. This was fun. Mirage Pizza. I thought the idea of turtles delivering pizza, I thought was just a great idea. You know, they would have a pizza delivery place. Surprised they've never done it. because I'm patting myself. It's a great idea. Yeah, okay, Rob. Until I'm in the meeting and I pitch that on the whiteboard. They're like, dumb. Dumb, 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 dumb. See, this is why I love having those hard lines, is you can do all the color traps. I don't know, I've always loved color holds, you know? The animation thing in me. It's so simple, but I just love looking at it. I try to keep the rendering pretty simple on these guys. And try to go over the top. I do think a lot of times we kind of over-render line art. My favorite was making Michelangelo use the nunchucks with his feet. Like I always thought, since he's a wild guy, he'd fight with all appendages. He fights with his feet. Or he can fight with his feet. Maybe not the whole time, but you know. I think the biggest thing I took away from like this particular piece was storytelling. You know, like trying to tell the whole pitch in one story. I'm trying to do that more and more. I wish I had really done that. I wish I had pursued that more earlier in my career. If you look at the work of, was it Mark Davis? He was one of those Disney Imagineers, one of the original Night Owl Men of Animation. We do these drawings, these like one-piece drawings for a section of a ride at Disneyland, but it would tell the whole story in one drawing. So each like section, like Pirates of the Caribbean, when you go there, like the dog with the keys and the guys trying to get out and everything on fire, like that's one drawing. All of it's telling like multiple bits that you don't always get the first time you see it. It's kind of designed to see on a rotation. Booyah says, how do you plan your compositions usually? Do you have some kind of strategy? You know, I know all the rules of thirds and golden circle and all that stuff, but what I tend to do is just build a silhouette out of like a particular key, and then I'll do a color comp, figure out the mood I want, and then I blob in a silhouette based on sort of the mood, you know? And then preferably in this case, like I know where the logos are going to go, so I'm kind of designing this based on the final graphic design layout and everything. So like on t-shirts, like t-shirt combos, it's I kind of design it to I usually use like a circle motif, I guess. If I had to like pinpoint, things kind of get circular. So you're kind of always looking around, you know? It's kind of like my default mode for composition. Patrick Boyle says, didn't realize that Drew Struzan did artwork posters for How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah, Drew Struzan, dude. Super dope. Probably the best there ever was. I've been told my compositions are weird. If you really want to know, you know. To which I go, yeah, but they're not generic. You know? It's not me sitting around trying to give you the same thing, you know, you've gotten 100 times. I get weird all the time from art directors, you know? It's weird. It's weird, Rob. Weird. A magazine hit me up recently and wanted me to like elaborate on a piece for an article or whatever. I can't say what it is right now, but I was like, sure. And they're like, yeah, could you explain how you arrived at this? And I'm like, oh no, I can. I just don't know how helpful it'll be. A lot of times, Kuya, I go, what would never get approved by a licensor? I shit you not. Like, that's how I got the Crash gig. In 2012, I just done I had been on video game magazines since 2008 for about 4 years. I went back to t-shirts. And right before I left, Dave Halverson had shown me this Crash game. It's been released since then. I mean, there was this Crash game that was made that was never released or being developed. I forget what it's called, but it had a really dope style to it. But they kept making Crash look, you know, like a surfer dude. Like your buddy. And I'm like, he should be wild, like a Looney Tunes character. So I did this one where I really made him look a little manic, you know? And I'm like, I'm going to make the one that will never get made, never get approved, you know? And that's the one that got me hired, like, you know, 5 years later. They never went that way with the final design, you know? Because, you know, they're always going to make things look pretty, but, you know, that kind of thinking got me the gig. So, like, I tend to just go, you know, what would never get done? That's how I got the Todd gig. I did this version of Bane that I was like, yeah, they would never go for this, you know? So, I always advise, do the thing you think won't get, you know, do it at a professional level, a creative level. But definitely do that thing when it's your opportunity to do whatever you want. Do the thing you know would never get approved, you know? Because once you're actually hired by someone, you got to play it. They'll tell you when to play it safe, you know? But on my end, I'm like, no. That's how the watercolor painting stuff got done. I was like doing all this clean artwork and stuff, and I was like, I just want to do something that's not... It's the opposite of this, you know? You know, I mean, not everyone likes it, but it's made me some good friends. York says, so they like the idea you can go outside of the box, but they never do it themselves, right? Yeah. Yeah. That's it. They like to know they got the person who could do it, and then they don't want to do it. I mean, I'll give Todd credit, man. He's never once said no to my weird ass designs, you know? They just stay out of it. So I'm like, so if people hate this, it's my fault, you know? Patrick says, what inspired me as a kid? To draw? Well, I mean, I was definitely born with the need to paint because I took a paintbrush to my uncle's car when I was like 3. He didn't hit me, but he says, it's the only time I ever wanted to beat a kid. But, you know, colors like Rainbow Brights and stuff like that. What really got me to start drawing was the intros to TV shows like Thundercats, the intros, not the cartoons themselves, just the intros. But the intros to Mask and Transformers was the best, you know? So like, I love that stuff. And then Calvin and Hobbes and Garfield, you know, kind of like, I noticed with Garfield, it wasn't like it made me funny, it made me laugh so much, but like everything had a design to it. Like not just Odie and Garfield, but like the cups and the pencils and the chairs and the lamps, you know? So like I was like, maybe I can't draw like characters when I'm like in the 2nd grade, but I could draw that lamp, like a Garfield lamp. So that took me to when I first found the Turtles in 88, 87, 88. It was Yeah. It was like right around the cartoon came. It was right before the cartoon came out. Whenever First Publishing put out those books, it was the first publishing editions. And then it goes from that to Image Comics in '92. I was at Comic-Con for that. You know? So really it was like the idea that you could just own whatever you create, you know, and be successful at it. Like, but I've always had this like need to be like, I think it should look like this, you know. And there was some years in my career, especially like in 2010 to like 14, a good 4-year period where I tried to play ball with like companies like Zenoscope and Big Dog Inc. and them. Where I was like, oh, I'll give them the kind of like stuff I think they're looking for. And I mean, I had some success, but it just wasn't representative of me at all. And it really stiffened my art up, I think. Like, I have friends who are like, that's the stuff I like the most. And I'm like, well, I'm never making it again, so sorry. Like, I like animation, I just hate animating. So if I can make it move in one drawing, then I've saved myself 23 other drawings. You know? That's basically my philosophy. And then I use color as emotion and texture rather than like cross hatching and stuff like that. I just think color should be used as to invoke an emotion, rather than going, this is 3 o'clock and this is 2 o'clock and this is 1 o'clock. Like, I don't really focus on that. It's like whatever. I mean, it needs to be. Kuya says, that's what I'm going through. I never do things the way I would do it. I always try to predict the client, but it makes me so stiff and slow due to double checking so often. Right. It is difficult. It is really difficult to navigate that because there's not one answer. You never know what kind of client's going to trust you. You know, if they trust you. And most clients don't. You know, they don't. You know, they trust what's already popular. They're looking over at what are they doing? I want to do that too. So that's why I always, you know, I really just was like, okay, my stuff after work will be whatever I want it to be. And then I was like slowly pushing that into my work, but it is difficult. I just decided, you know, when it comes to drawing, I'm not taking gigs that require me to meet a style anymore. That basically means I don't work for a lot of people. But I think that might come around one day, Kuya, because the more everyone has access to AI, the more they're going to make the exact same damn thing the other person has, because that's all it does. Just creates more of it, you know? But, like, I just remember I was like, okay, I love these sorts of things. How come I never make the kinds of things that I love? I'm just making the things I think people expect me to make, you know? Or I think, like, you know. And I'll be honest, lost a lot of clients. But I know now I can be proud. Like, this is a cover for a video game magazine. This isn't, you know, I don't see any Nickelodeon saying this is cool to do, you know, because it's to me. It's not whatever they're doing. Patrick Boyle says, with the lack of good original kids cartoons, etc., you think it will affect the next generation? Well, apart from anime, that's what video games are doing, you know, like Fortnite, like Peely, and those create the original characters of Fortnite are inspiring more kids than cartoons. That's our generation. So, you know, Roblox, Minecraft, Fortnite, or League of Legends. But what comes after? I don't know. What's up, Biggie? And obviously anime. It doesn't have to be that way. You can inspire. I mean, look at Spider-Verse, right? Like, so it's just a matter of like the mindset behind it. I think more than it's so hard to get a real creative project across, to get, not just to get it across the table, to move it through production. It's hard to get the average person to latch on to an original idea. It's very difficult. These days, it was less difficult like in the 90s. Maybe that will change, you know, the more everyone just endlessly repeats, you know, possibly. Video games and animes filling the void for this generation. Yeah. Willstart says, seen the new X-Men 97 on Disney Plus. They kept it really well with the old style, even though I think a lot of it is 3D modeled, cel shaded to look 3D, but still similar to 2D original. It's 2D animation. The ships and things like Ferris wheels are 3D, but they are doing trace overs on that to get the frame counts down and stuff. So, but they're doing a lot of hand animation. Also, the Turtles cartoon, it's that same crew that did the Rise of TMNT. I didn't like the designs of Rise of TMNT. It looked like a cross between Jim Lawson's designs and the Coming Out of Our Shells tour. It wasn't my thing. But the animation itself, some of the best ever produced for television, like let alone anime. It was really good. So applying that quality of animation to the newer turtle designs in 2D, I'm looking forward to seeing, actually. But yeah, I love X-Men 97. I thought it was great. Watched it twice, both episodes. Oh yeah, 5:30. I'll be honest, I wouldn't have minded if they had animated X-Men 97 in the same tool set they're using for What If. I wouldn't have minded. I'm not against 3D animation. I'm just against like stiff 3D animation. So League of Legends, I mean the arc. What's the damn? I'm brain farting. The one on Netflix, the League of Legends anime. Obviously, brilliant. York says, I think they use 3D models from time to time. You can barely tell. Yeah. They're using 3D models for certain, but they're animating the character stuff in 2D as much as possible. Patrick Boyle says, my 3-year-old girl is absolutely obsessed with the OG TV show. Yeah, I love that opening. The opening to the show is my favorite. I didn't really like the show when it came out when I was a kid because I had the Turtles comics. But when the video game, Konami game came out, I thought the animation designs translated to games really well. So it was through the games I came to appreciate the animation side. Arcane, thank you, Wilson. Arcane, thank you. So I wanted to call it Arcana for a second. It's not Arcana. It's because Lorcana is in my head. Yeah. But it doesn't even need to be that complex. I mean, that was a real expensive show. You know, there's plenty of really well put together 2D anime that's on a budget, you know, that I love. I just love seeing original, like, stylized worlds. Always have. It's why I like Bowser's Fury, but I don't like Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey has too many realistic textures and backgrounds. I like the look of Bowser's Fury better. All right, what time is it, folks? 5:33. I think I'm gonna put a pin in it here, and then I'm gonna get back on at 8 my time and get this latter half of this piece done. Thank you, Kuya. Yeah, but definitely thank you for reaching out to me about Blender. Definitely wouldn't mind getting some pointers on that. I do enjoy stylized character design. Wouldn't mind learning. You know, if it's intuitive, great. If it's not, then, you know, I really appreciate it. We'll give it a shot. Patrick Boyle says, do you remember the Commodore 64 Turtles game? Wasn't that just the NES game on Commodore 64, though? I played the Ghostbusters one all the time at my friend's house. I didn't have a Commodore 64. But I thought the Commodore 64 Turtles game... You know what? There was a rando Turtles game box I put in my tribute piece. Maybe that's the one you're talking about. Let me look really quick, because I have a friend who... Now I'm curious. 1 second. Let me look really quick. Where is it? I did that Turtles. It had like a blue box, right? Is that the one you're talking about? Or was that the PC game? I'll just Google it. Let me see. I'll know if I put it in there or not. Yeah, the Commodore 64 game is just the NES game. So a lot of people hated it. It wasn't great, but it was Turtles, and I played it, and I did beat it. In order to beat it, I had to get 99 skulls. Yeah, I had a blue box. I put that in my Turtles tribute piece. My Turtles tribute piece. It's in there. And I redrew all those covers. That's not a... I mean, I photoshopped it in, then I redrew all the covers and logos. So everything in there is drawn. It took 100 hours. It still hurts to think about it. All right. You had to take a code from the booklet every few levels. Oh my goodness. I hated those PC code books. The Rocketeer had something like that too. You had like a wheel you had to spin and line up to stuff. So dumb. But Will started asking what's my streaming schedule. During the middle of the day, usually around 2 p.m. MDT to 5:30 or 6, and then from 8:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. MDT, Mountain Daylight Time. So that's usually when I'm streaming, unless something comes up and I can't. But that's the times I stream now. So, all right, folks, I gotta get going. Thanks for hanging out. I will see you all soon. The show is over. But the struggle moves on.